So welcome back to our long-awaited podcast. We took some time off. I was sick for around 3 weeks with the flu, and then Ryan was having some...
Really, I was just busy trying to stay afloat with school.
Yeah. She lives an hour away from me, so thank you so much for coming, driving all this way to come and see me and make me breakfast. It was lovely. So today, this is just kind of like something that's kind of been weighing on my heart, like this move that we've had to Chilliwack over the last 2 months has been quite a struggle for me. There's been a bit of resentment towards my husband about it, and I have been really struggling. I'm getting through it, but I just want to be transparent and share this experience with you guys because this is new to me and I've just been going through it.
Which I think is normal because transition and transformation is uncomfortable. And I think that if it wasn't uncomfortable, you wouldn't really see growth from your transitions or your transformations. You know what I mean? Like, you have to go through a struggle and then go through that like uneasiness to get to the other side, and like that's where you learn, that's where you really grow.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking about, because so some things that have been happening to me recently are, we had my husband's family here for Christmas, and for Thanksgiving. I was, well, one, we weren't like fully moved in yet, and there were boxes everywhere, and I was angry at my husband that he agreed to host Thanksgiving
2 weeks after moving in.
Yeah, exactly. So then the discussion came up after dinner, like his sisters were like, "Oh, Wes, thank you so much for hosting. Well, you didn't really have a say." And I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense." His sisters are just like, "We're coming over and you're our little brother and you don't have a say." But while they were here, I was complaining and I was like, it's not that I hate this house, I just feel like it's a change, it's different, and I'm always for change, but it's just so uncomfortable. And I was complaining about how our pantry light didn't turn on when you walked into the pantry. And my brother-in-law looks at me and he's like, "You know, you can buy a light that will just like sensor and turn on when you go into the pantry." But then my sister-in-law looks at me, she's like, "Oh, you have a pantry? Oh my goodness, I've never had a pantry before. Can I go in your pantry? Can I see what it looks like?" And I was like, "Sure." So that was my one, like, okay, you're complaining about, and I was like, okay, fine, like, I get it. I've been really spoiled, definitely, over the last long bit. Mm-hmm. But then there was another thing where I was complaining about, like, we were complaining about our bathroom and how we don't like it, and my sister-in-law went in the bathroom and she's like, "Oh, you have double sinks? We've never had a double sink before. We've only ever had one bathroom, really, that I have to share with 3 men." Then it wasn't until like that night I was in the shower and I was like, okay, I prayed and I was like, "Lord, I hear you. Speak to me." This click went off and I was like, because I was just so comfortable in Saskatoon. And yeah, it's like 7 hours from really the nearest city, like Calgary, so it would always be like a commute. So I tend to just I'm a very homebody type of person. And I found that being there for 6 years, I started to get more and more like distant from wanting to go anywhere, because then too in the wintertime it's cold and you're kind of snowed in. You don't really want to go outside.
You're becoming more of a hermit.
Yeah.
But things like that show you, like, look more and be grateful for what you do have, because on the flip side, they not having a pantry, only sharing one bathroom, like all the small things that you're complaining about are really somebody else's blessings.
I know that
saying, like, basically your problems could be someone else's like dream.
Yeah.
Right?
In Saskatoon, I was very stagnant. Like, I just got very comfortable not growing. Like, I just have so much envision for myself, and there's like all these ideas I have, but I feel like Saskatoon, I couldn't really grow, and I got comfortable not growing, and again being stagnant, like letting my husband just like lead the way, and me like not having a say. But then I got very comfortable also being the stay-at-home mom that still works, but I was able to just have this relationship with my daughters. And I think what really made that go off was COVID and how everything had shut down. And I remember one day Natalia was having her Christmas concert at school, and my supervisor was like, "Just go." Like, and I was like, "No, I don't want to be that person that just leaves and goes because I have a kid," because no one else really had a kid. And I was like, they're gonna look at me differently. And then I didn't go that night, And then 3 months later, everything was shut down because of COVID. And
you never got another chance.
That was my one regret. I've had other times to make up for it, but you know what I mean? Like, there was still that one time, like, when your kids are little, because now she's older and she doesn't want to see me at school. But when they're little and they see your face and it's like, my mom's here. Yeah.
I love that feeling. Like, I love that my kids enjoy, because Brooklyn's 10 now, and I'm thinking, okay, you're getting to that point where you're like, I don't really want you here, whatever, but like, she's still very much like, yeah, Mom, I love seeing you at school, comes up, gives me a hug, that's my mom, and like wants me on her field trips and everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna love every little bit of it. So yeah, they see my face at that school, you know, I used to do there more, but I can't do it. It's a big time commitment, but at least like once to twice a month or every other week kind of thing, plus field trips and things, like, I don't know, that's something that I always wanted as a kid.
And I think that's where it comes from, because my mom was always working, and my mom doesn't drive, so it was always this like disconnect, like, oh, I gotta see if someone can drive us, or we have to be able to get on a bus or something. So I know what you mean, and I remember there was only one trip my mom ever went on, but I remember I was so happy because she had taken the day off for a self-care day or whatever. She was like, and I'm like, please just come, there's not enough volunteers, and she was like, okay, fine, I'll come, and I was just overjoyed
to have her there. See, I can't remember a single field trip or like a single thing that my mom came to, unless it was like, you know, you would have your graduation type things, or like, you know, it's in the evening.
So this is just something I have always, I don't know if it's like been growing up in church or whatever, but I have been around in some very scary situations in my time. And if you know me personally and you really know my story, I just feel like I'm just a walking testimony, and that's the one thing that has got me through this move. And I keep like going back to this song that they used to sing in church. Jesus got hold of my life and he won't let me go. And I always sing that over and over and over in my head. Do you remember that one at church? Jesus got a hold of my life.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. No,
yeah. That's the one song that keeps reminding me. And I've been, I always have very vivid dreams, but I've been having very vivid dreams about money. And very specific amounts of money.
And bring it on.
And I remember the last time I had a vivid dream about money was when we were living in Calgary, and 3 months later, Wes got the offer for Saskatoon for that position. And then I remember telling my uncle this, and then he was like, oh, and this is the one thing that keeps reassuring me that everything in my life is gonna get better, is when you think about something and you don't tell anybody what it is, but yet all these situations
are aligning with it,
or like it's like it's talking to you, right? Or I talk to you, or I talk to Santea, and it's like a very similar situation.
We've been doing that a lot in the last couple of weeks. We've been talking, and then you'll be like, I literally just had a dream about this, or I literally just had this thought, or I was like, this just popped up, and now you're bringing it up or something, and it's like.
But I was asking my uncle about it, because my uncle's a very spiritual, very smart man, and he was like, this is just reminding you how high your vibration is. He's like, you can make anything happen. So he's like, don't go back to like your stinking way of thinking, like being down on yourself, because this is just reminding you that you can make anything happen in your life, good or bad. And he's like, the fact that all these things that you're even just saying in your head, not even saying out loud, and then they all of a sudden, it's like someone else comes to you with the exact same situation they're going through this. And like, he's like, it's like a learning experience. So my uncle's been telling me since I got out the game, if you know what I mean. I should have been a counselor for young women, and I was like, that's just something that I would love to do, but you know what I mean, like to go back to school and do all those things. That's why I feel like too we started this podcast, because we're able to
share with the forum that's not necessarily, and that's why we say we're not clinical counselors or anything by means, that it's just more from experience. And I get what you're saying, because that's what's been happening a lot with me, with, you know, when Nate passed, everything happened. I was like, one day I want to just basically, in order to honor his life, is to be able to help others who are going through this situation or have lost.
Do you want to let them know about Nate? Because they might not know.
When I was 20, I lost my son through premature labor, which was onset through Group B streptococcus, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a infection that you can get in your body when you're pregnant, which most women are tested for at 38 weeks. However, you cannot test for it sooner than that. I didn't even know what it was, but I went into labor at 24 weeks. He was alive when I gave birth to him, but unfortunately his lungs were not fully developed, and I had to make the decision to either kind of keep him on life support and go through all these surgeries and try to see if he'll survive, or to let him go. And I chose to let him go because I didn't want my little child, my little baby, to have to go through all these intense surgeries and things like that. Since then, that's been a roller coaster ride, but now here we are, 13 years later, and probably about 3 years ago, I had submitted a video to the GBS International Foundation, which they do research and advocacy for those who are affected by GBS. Now, since then, it has snowballed because I have now been able to help with their research surveys, giving my input. I've been able to have my video shown in Brazil, shown throughout the world, shown at other conferences, working with the founder of this organization for more projects to get funding and sponsors. And it's been taking just like a snowball effect of like helping people through what I went through. And even so, a few weeks ago, I did make a video basically to support those who have lost a child, a pregnancy, etc. And there's lots of women who actually reached out to me to share their stories. And I'm actually very grateful for that because that's what our community is about. Mm-hmm. It's to just say like, this is what I went through. You're not the only one, and like we're all here together. Like, we're our own pod, right? And so like to have all you women reach out to me with your story and to share like the losses that you went through and like the backlash that you got from other people and your struggles, like that's what this is about. Like, so you know you're not alone. So like for you to help young women through things that you've done would be like, is amazing.
I don't know if we ended up recording or posting that podcast that we had about like Natalia. So my oldest daughter Natalia was just going through a little bit of like mental health issues when we were in Saskatoon, and it started to get very scary because there was a little bit of self-harm involved. And I don't know if it was like, I know she heard from her friend like, oh yeah, like when I'm sad I do this, and I didn't like that. So I told Natalia my story from beginning to end. I told her about being molested as a kid, like why I spiraled out of control, why I ended up where I did, and just everything. I was just so transparent with her. I haven't had the conversation with Simone, so
she's still kind of
yeah. Simone's only 8, and I don't want to have that conversation with her because when she gets older and she starts to go through more life experiences.
Totally, right now she's just not there. I think her mindset, her understanding is not the same as, Natalia as a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Right? Natalia's like school counselor had reached out to me, and I told her my full life story, and she's like, damn, you should be a counselor because like Natalia's so lucky to have you in her life because you've been through everything. The women I had in my circle at one point of time, I feel like the ones that have grown up in church always kind of like come back to or get out of it, or you know what I mean, just like change their lives. And I feel like the ones that didn't grow up in church are either dead or struggle with like drug abuse, or there's all these other
there's like no anchor.
Yes.
There's no anchor.
Yes.
Because like even for me, like, I grew up in church as a kid, but then like through my teen years and all my own ish, like I completely like was in the dark. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until honestly more recently that like I've started to morph back towards it. But like it's that thing, like God will let you go and do your thing, but eventually it's already deep rooted in you. You'll come back, and like that anchor's there, right? So you're like, okay, I can float as far as I go, but like I'm always going to be reeled back in.
I want you guys to hear this.
I'm saying to you today, I will put you together in front of those who broke you. Don't think it wasn't seen by me. You will not only recover, but you will flourish. In the places where you felt abandoned and defeated, you will stand strong and victorious. Remember, my child, my plans for you are to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Let your heart be at peace, for I am with you in every step of this journey, mending every fracture, healing every wound, and restoring every lost hope. where you were once shattered. Now you will shine like a beacon, reflecting my love and strength. Trust in me, for I am your faithful protector, your healer, and your redeemer. Do not dwell on the past or the pain it brought. Instead, lift your eyes to the horizon, where my promises unfold. You will see that my grace is sufficient for you, even in your weakest moments. Let your spirit rejoice, for you are being rebuilt stronger than ever, not just to withstand the trials, but to help others who walk in similar paths.
And that's what I think after I heard that last night, and I was like, I feel like I can't grow until I let go of the past. Like the whole moving transition and the quickness of it, like that's something I need to once and for all let go. One thing that has really pissed me off is Wes has been away Monday to Thursday since July for work.
Mm-hmm.
It's now the middle of November. So there were all these boxes that I unpacked like 90% of this house because I'm here every day.
Okay.
And then he comes back and it's like, oh, I need your help but all the rest of the boxes that were left were him and the kids. And I was like, I physically cannot do anymore. And then it was like getting forced to, okay, no, but I need help. Like, I can't do this on my own. I'm like, but I've been doing it on my own. I was holding in this like anger towards him because I'm like, okay, when are you leaving again?
But if
like,
you talk to him about it, like saying like that, this is bothering me, I have done X, Y, Z, but in a calm way, not in the Kylisha way, but like, like in like a calm, constructive way.
No, I don't know how to do that. No, I do not know how to do that.
I mean, like, listen, I've sat here, I've unpacked all these boxes, and I understand that you're saying you need help. However, I have done, say, 95% of this work, and I need you to take the onus on doing this. Instead of focusing on renos or something right now, like, just help me unpack or something. No. Clearly. Thanks in church right now, they're doing a series on light and dark, right? And one of the things was like, in order to find the light, you need to venture into the darkness. And that's the only way you'll find the light, is once you go deeper into your darkness. And right now, going through so much counseling and therapy for myself, I had told you, like, I had like this plug moment of like emotional release of like things that I didn't even realize that I was holding on to. But then today's sermon was talking about like holding on to things from when you were younger that basically inhibits you from expressing your emotions or expressing your needs or your feelings to anybody, which affects your ability to communicate with others effectively. And I was like, oh, wow, dang. And she was like, and like they were just saying like, well, it can be caused from PTSD, childhood traumas, like abuse, like so many different things, right? And I was like, well, ain't that a thing? Because I struggle with empathy and compassion so much. Like, I am such a person that like strong emotional releases make me uncomfortable when they are like sad, or like if it's not anger or happiness, I'm like super uncomfortable. I'm like, hey, suck it up, like stop crying, move on, I can't deal with this.
But do you think that comes from too like the way your mom was when you were growing up?
Well, I think it's a combination. Like I think it's, you know, my own traumas, right, of a kid being molested, or my dad, you know, being emotionally abusive, and then, you know, my mom working all the time, that she's not really there, and then when I am there, it's that mentality and that generation of like, you just, no, we're not crying, we're not talking about it, just stop it, move on.
It's funny that you say that, because I feel like, so my childhood, like my mom was awesome and my mom did the best she could possibly do, right? But my mom growing up, she felt the same way. So with me, she was very maternal, like it's okay to cry, and like she would never like badger me for being like emotional or oh, why are you being so whiny, or I remember my grandpa would be like, if I was crying or whatever, he'd be like, hey, you should just go have a nap, go do something, right? And she would never ever disregard the way that I felt. So I am very in tune with my emotions. Like if but I tend to bottle them in, I think, because of all of the shit I've been through.
But that's
right?
normal, right? You're like, okay, I need to be strong, I need to be this cement wall. And that's the thing, like you go to the point of being told for so long, like, just suck it up. Stop crying. Like, you don't need to cry about this. Like, move on. Okay, so I've sucked it up. I've stopped crying about it. But then it affected my relationships. And then seeing myself with my own kids started to do that. And now I'm like trying to reverse that. Because I'm trying to reverse it within my own self, which is a lot of work, I must say. It feels very uncomfortable to have emotional outbursts releasing of like tears. Because I don't like to cry. Even when I'm sad, I'm like letting stone face it out. I don't want to let it go. But now I'm feeling lighter because I'm actually releasing all this emotion that I did not show for years.
I was thinking about just now, there was like a few weeks ago when I was laying in bed and I was like crying hysterically worse. I wasn't like being like loud and like, but I just started crying, and as soon as like within 10 seconds of me crying, Simone's there. What happened? What's wrong? What do you need? Give me a hug. And I was just like, I just appreciate her so much.
That's because she is learning that from you, right? But if you hadn't have shown her that kind of support or empathy and things, then like she wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
I am not good with that. So when the kids were little, I feel like I felt like it wasn't a reason to cry, I feel like, no, we're not crying about this. Like, stop. Which now I've retracted and I've kind of done the opposite.
Now I'm just thinking back on it. So Natalia is gonna be 14 in a few months. And I remember when she got her period, but it was like this like build up, and we didn't know what was going on. Like sometimes it was like hot or cold or like you didn't walk on eggshells constantly, but she wasn't gonna make me feel uncomfortable in my own house. So Les was like walking on eggshells and I was going up against the bowl like, do you want to fight? Like, come on. I remember the emotion she was facing, and like sometimes she'll just look at me and I'm like, and then one day I just looked at her, I'm like, Natalia, do you need a hug? And she's like, yes, I need a hug. And I was like, oh, come here. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I do my thing. So now I feel like if she gets very overwhelmed, sometimes she'll come up to me, she's like, and I'll be like, and she looks at me, she's like, I just need a hug. And I'm like, okay.
That's what Brooklyn does to me all the time. She'll just, like, after school, she's had a bad day, or like first thing in the morning when she's like, Mommy, I just need a mommy hug. I'm like, okay. But you know what I've started doing is when I feel overwhelmed sometimes, I'm like, Brooke, can I just have a Brooke hug? And she'll be like, okay. And I'm letting her empathy and compassion kind of rub off on me because I clearly am lacking it and I need to like let it out. But something like hugs make a huge difference, and I think that like, I don't know, being so long with a lack of like, I don't know how to word it, but like physical connection in like an emotional sense has like really made me numb to like allowing it in. And the only people that I've really let it be in was with my kids.
So my mother-in-law, I was talking to her the other day, and she's kind of dealing with, her partner is struggling with cancer, and it's very aggressive, and it happened very soon, and she's scared, and she was like, I don't know what to do, like I feel like I'm alone, and she's like on the island, like far, and she's like, I have to move down to Victoria, and it's like expensive for her because they have to get an Airbnb, and she's like, I can't commute every day from Powell River to Victoria. I can't do it. So she's just in this thing where I think she just feels very alone, and I just said to her straight up, I'm like, I'm here for you, but what you need to remember is to take everything one day at a time. Don't stress about tomorrow, don't stress about yesterday. I need to focus on today, baby steps. And even she was like, because we want her to come down and visit, just to kind of get her mind off things. But I was like, I was telling my husband, I'm like, I don't really think that's something
the time is right.
She's really ready for that, because I'm like, and then I thought about it, I'm like, I'm connecting a lot with her because she's like, I can't put myself in the car to drive anywhere. I was telling my mother-in-law the same thing. I'm like, I've been really struggling with, I think, just being content being in Chilliwack, because I'm like, oh, the traffic to leave out of here, you don't know what's gonna happen. It's like, if somebody's put on the side of the road, it backs everything up for like a good 20 to 30 minutes.
Brutal.
And I was like, that's one thing that I don't like. So in the beginning, we were like going downtown a lot and going here and going to the States and stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that traffic thing.
Welcome to BC.
No, I'll just stay in Chilliwack. I'll just stay here.
But it's a good thing that like you have such a good relationship with your in-laws. I never had a relationship like that quite like my in-laws. Like,
and it wasn't like that in the beginning at all. It's just, I think,
girl, after 12 years, it still wasn't like that.
Yeah, just take everything one day at a time. And I keep having to remind myself this because I'm like, I'm thinking about, oh, tomorrow, what do I need to get done this week? And I need to focus. Oh, there's that fucking fly.
Jesus.
Hold on, I gotta get the fly.
Thanks for joining us on another crazy episode. Till next time, guys. See you later.